Welcome everyone to our 13th webinar. 13 webinars. That's a lot of webinars. We are so happy to be here. This is one of my all-time favorite topics. I'm not going to lie, follow-up, because when I learned how important it was and I really realized it was a game changer for me in my life. And that's all I'm going to say about it because that's all I need to say. But I wanted to welcome everyone here today. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jody. I am the producer for the session today, so you're just going to hear from me just a little bit in the beginning. Just a couple of quick reminders before we jump right in. Please open the chat if you haven't already done so. Let me enable those captions for those of you who have just asked. That's excellent. So open up the chat, and if you haven't already done so, why don't you let us know where you are calling in from today? We'd love to hear from you. The other thing we would love is for you to give us a reaction. Tell us how you're feeling about being here today. Maybe if you look under the reactions button, if you're just surprised you made it at all, give me a wow or a oh, one of those, because I love that one. That's one of my favorite ones. Yeah, you're just like, I barely made it here, but we're so glad. Look at that. Oh, good. We've got it. Very nice. So Shannon, as you guys know, webinars are a little strange. We know you're there, but we can't hear you. So the only way we can hear you is by the use of your reactions. So please feel free to use those freely throughout the session. There are Spanish translations available to you today. So please use the Spanish translations if you would find that helpful. There is a Q&A available as well. And we don't typically use the Q&A to answer questions live during the session, but we will pay attention to the questions and try to answer anything that we can in future webinars. And the last thing that I already mentioned is today's session is being recorded. And so throughout the session, what I will do is in the chat, I will place the link to where you can find all of those recordings from our previous 12 webinars that we've already had. If you haven't had a chance to see them, it is really worth your time to go back and have a look through what has already been discussed. So that's all I'm going to say for now. Shannon, I will pass it over to you. Have a wonderful session.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It's Monday. It's cold here, but it is sunny, so I'm happy. We actually have been having an unusually warm winter in Alberta, and that hasn't been good for our fires. So we actually got a dumping on the weekend. It was a little bit surprising to see 1.5 feet of snow after it being so warm, but you know what? It's really great for the environment. It's really great for the fires and the farmers to see that precipitation. Wow, can't speak already. So you know what? Let's start with a moment of gratitude. What are you most grateful for today? Why don't you use the chat to tell me what you're most grateful for? I'm putting mine in. I'm going to tell you my little story. This weekend, for the first time in about 2.5 years, I had all my kids in one place and their partners all under my roof for the weekend. It was amazing. We had a tap party. Unfortunately, Jody is in the UK, so she couldn't come, but we did have a tap party. We did an 80s themed bowling event, and it was hilarious. I will absolutely post a picture. So if you are curious, make sure that you are following the tap page or following my page. I will send these pictures out. They were so much fun. We had a riot. So I'm really grateful for my family, grateful for my fireplace. All right, fair enough. My health. I love it. I love it that it's not -22 where Jody is. So I can get that. So let's just start with that moment of gratitude, and remember that generally I always ask you how you showed up. So why don't you go ahead and put me at actually Jody does the poll for us. She's going to run this poll for us. You'd rather be anywhere else but here is that one, but 5 is you're all in. You can't wait to talk, can't wait to hear what we have to say about follow-up. So look at that. We're seeing some really great energy coming through. I love, love, love that. I am absolutely at a max 5 today too. So like I said, just had a wonderful weekend with my family. And now I get to spend time with you folks talking about something that's really, really important, not just to sales, but to life in general. So let's jump in. Jody, why don't you go ahead and show
Hang
us
on,
the...
there's still
Oh,
responses coming.
there's still
Yeah,
responses.
I know.
Awesome.
We've got about 46% of people have already responded.
Okay.
So let's do another 10 seconds and see if we can get a
Okay.
few more. And then I'll
All
share the
right.
results with everyone. All right,
Perfect.
10, 9, 8. Tell us how you showed up today. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to end the poll.
All right.
I'm going to share the results so you can see how you fit next to the people with you.
All right. So
Perfect.
at least we didn't see any ones or twos, which means they're happy to be here, but maybe they got other stuff going on. Let go of that, folks. Let go of it for the next 55 minutes. Let's be fully present. Let's take out of today's conversation what we can. Be all in, have a learner's mindset, practice that gratitude. It is so important. And try to keep the defenses down, because we know when our defense mechanism kicks in and goes up, our ability to learn goes down. So we're going to throw that all away. We're going to be fully present, and we're going to talk about follow-up. So I have another question for you. Thank you so much for those results. I want to know from your perspective, why do you think follow-up matters? Before I go ahead and tell you the learning objectives of today, and we talk a little bit about it, why do you think follow-up matters? Talk to me. Any idea why follow-up is so important? You keep hearing it, I'm sure. Follow-up, 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 follow-up. It's the most important thing in your business. Why do you think? And it's not just for people who are building a business. It's people who are sharing a product that they love, that they know will help other people. So if you're mission minded, if you know that Healy can help others, why do you think that it's so important? People change their minds. They need change. The fortune is in the follow-up. I love that, Janelle. The fortune is in the follow-up. There you go. That's a loaded statement, isn't it? It's
Well,
so
and
true.
just a quick reminder to everyone, make sure that when you put your chat in that it's set to everyone and not just hosts and panelists, because that was such a great comment and only the hosts and panelists saw it. So I'm going to actually copy and paste it in for Jonalyn so that we can all see that.
Love it. Love, love, love. There you go. Thanks, Jody, for doing that. Awesome. Follow-up is incredibly important. And we're going to dive in a little bit deep into 4 key areas of why it's so important. And then we're going to talk about some other ones as well, just to make sure that you fully understand follow-up is incredibly important when we are trying to share something that we love. Love, love, love. All right. Let's jump in. All right. So essentially what I wanted us to do today, the few minutes that we have together, is talk about why follow-up is your business lifeline. Okay. And like I said, even if you're attending and you're like, well, I'm not really building a business, I just have a love for Healy and I'm sharing what I know and love about Healy. Well, it's important for you too, because it's all about the customer journey. It's all about the impact on your ability to have a sustainable business or keep the conversation going. And when we don't follow up, sometimes that means that things are dropping to the wayside. Understanding that customers change. So we had that in the comments. Exactly. So people change, they have evolving needs. And so what we want to do is, how do we recognize those? How do we know that Sally that we spoke to 6 months ago now all of a sudden has a need for healing? Good question. All right. What about trust? Well, here's the thing. When people follow up and do what they say they're going to do, it's one of the trust elements. We've talked about this before, and we're going to remind you again of where that fits in. Okay. So being consistent, being congruent, making sure you do what you say you're going to do, it builds trust. Unfortunately, when you don't do what you say you were going to do, yeah, I'll check in with you next week, and then you don't. Or, you know what, in 3 months, I'm going to see how things are going with you, see if you need any help, and you don't. That's a trust breaking activity. And so we all know that in network marketing, in the wellness business or in the wellness industry, trust is broken all the time, and we already have a trust issue. So what we've got to do is, if we want to be that person with integrity and this business with integrity, we must follow through with what we say we're going to do. Okay. And then the last is crafting questions that care. So through follow-up, through asking questions and then following up with an answer, with checking in to see if needs have changed, what we're doing is we're actually showing that we care. And I also saw that in the chat on why follow-up is important. So some of these things you may already know. All right. And so bear with us as we go through them. But this is going to be a really good reminder for you to go back to the people that you know you've probably let fall by the wayside. Okay. For those of you who didn't fully understand or had a misconception or a belief that doesn't necessarily, that isn't necessarily true about follow up, which we'll talk about in a second. I want you to think about those people. I want you to put them in your mind right now. Who are the people that you've said you'd follow up with and you know you haven't done so yet? I want you to take a piece of paper. As we're chatting today, I want you to start writing those names down. Okay? All right, that's your work as we chat. All right. So here we go. Let's jump in. Wow, it didn't want to move and now it's moving a whole bunch of them. There we go. I'm on the right slide. So listen, understanding that the concept of follow-up is foundational to any ability to sell a product, it's crucial to know that it's not a single action. It's a series of interactions. And it's really about maintaining and enhancing your relationships. So when you start seeing this as an ability to maintain or enhance a relationship, all of a sudden it doesn't feel so cringy. A lot of people, when they get into network marketing, or if they say no, so you've got those people that you've talked to and they're like, no, I can't do this. I'm not a salesperson. Well, when you begin to shift your mindset and understanding that actually this is about building relationships, wouldn't you check in with your friends? Wouldn't you check in with the neighbors that you care about? Wouldn't you check in with your family or someone that you want to pursue a relationship with? Wouldn't you check in with them, see what's going on? It's no different with our customer relationships, okay? And the subtopic sets the stage for why it matters, all right? So what is it? Well, it means we're checking in, okay? And why does it matter? Well, we've already identified that. It matters because it shows people we care. It matters because it shows integrity. It matters because it builds trust. And it matters that we are building strong relationships with the people around us, okay? Now, thinking about customer needs that continuously change, this really talks to the dynamic of serving others, okay? Listen, selling anything is not a static. It's not a, yeah, maybe if you go to a gumball machine, it's a transaction, okay? I want gum, I put my quarter in the gumball machine, I get a gum out. But when we are building relationships and sharing products that we love, it is really about not a static transaction. It is something that's going to constantly evolve. Some days they may want it, some days they may not. Some days they may have a need, some days they may not. And so we have to understand that. And that means that we have to continuously understand that those needs will shift. And it'll be for a number of reasons, for various factors. A good follow-up strategy is adaptable, okay? It's responsive to the needs of others. And that's really important for us. So if it needs to be responsive to the changing customer needs, that means we need to be connecting with them more than once, doesn't it? All right. It builds trust. And listen, trust is the currency of any sales. It's the currency of any relationship. It's the currency of any successful business. And it's the currency that we sometimes, as a sales channel, don't always get right. There are a lot of people in network marketing that miss the mark. They don't understand. They get so excited. It's not because they have bad intentions, but the intent doesn't match their intention. Okay. So they go out and they share it with the whole world. They continuously talk about it on their social media. They spam people because they're so excited. And unfortunately, what that does is it can break trust. And so we have to understand that we need to build trust in network marketing. We need to build trust at Healy. We need to show people and our customers and our prospects and our families and our friends, those who we want them to benefit from Healy. We need to understand that that we need to be consistent and reliable and say things that are true and cultivate a not just a brand image, but a strong relationship where they can trust us. And then the last thing is really going to be talking about good questions. And so I said, I said, well, we're going to talk a little bit about, customer needs changing. How do we know they've changed? Well, that's not just through consistent follow-up and checking in, but actually following through with good questions. And so we'll talk about that a little bit. It's not enough to just simply check in. Our follow-up needs to be meaningful. So we may think, and maybe this is what you've been doing on a consistent basis, is every month I send, a short little message or a little text. Hey, how's it going today? Okay, that's okay, but it's not good and it's not great. It doesn't meet the criteria of meaningful connection. What we need to be doing is asking questions, understanding where people are at, building strong relationships, showing that we care, sharing different knowledge with other people. So in our follow-up, as much as we say follow up, and maybe you're like, well, I always thought, well, as long as I check in, it'll be okay. Well, that's actually not the case. What we need to do is be asking good questions that gives us the information that we need in order to serve the people in our lives. Okay. All right. So let's start sort of framing our mindset around follow-up and understand that it's not just a mere step in the sales process. It's actually the heartbeat of customer engagement. Okay. So let me say that again, the heartbeat of customer engagement. It means that as long as I am following up, that I'm keeping this relationship alive. All right. How many of you have had an interaction with someone? Maybe it's been in another direct sales company. Maybe it's been within this team yourself, where someone has followed up with you and then never followed up again. I've had that continuously happen to me. And I think it comes from a fear of maybe pestering me or, um, you know, uh, maybe feeling like I wasn't interested and they made assumptions you know, by my response at that time. Listen, if I had to tell you every time I was interested in a product, had they followed up with me the second or third time I would have purchased, I'm telling you, it's way more than you think it might be. A lot of times people, when they reach out, it's like a really busy time. So maybe I'm in the middle of doing a webinar. Someone reaches out, I forget that they reached out while I was in the webinar. I don't check it again. Maybe I've got something going on. Maybe I'm not feeling well. Maybe my kid is sick. Maybe I'm away on vacation. There's so many reasons why people don't respond. And we have to think about that. So understand, following up is the heartbeat of customer engagement. Okay. Every interaction is something that strengthens that bridge between you and the people that you are sharing Healy with. How often do you remember to check in with your clients outside of, maybe when you're trying to reach a target, month end? Do you reach out to people only when there's a deal on the line or a sale happening, or, I mean, what is it? When are you doing this? I'm curious to hear from you. Okay. So why don't you go ahead and tell me if you are, so yes, I am following up with people more than the norm. All right. And no, I'm only checking in when it's like month end. Let's see in the chat. Anyone willing to tell us? And listen, there's no judgment here. Here's the thing. I know why we do this, and I do this as well. I'm trying to sell my business, and lots of times I'm not following up as many times as I need to. Listen, when we were putting the slides together, I was like writing people's names down of people I needed to follow up with so that I can be, I can practice what I preach and walk the talk. All right, so nobody's gone into the chat and said, yes, I'm doing this on a consistent basis or not. Maybe would you be so kind as to say, all right, I'm following up as much as I should, thumbs up. I'm not following up as much as I should, thumbs down. How about that? Let's try that one. Let's see who's willing to be a
So there's a
tiny bit
thumbs
more.
up option and there's a laughing option. So thumbs up in the reactions if you're following up as much as you think you should, and laughing reaction if you could maybe do better.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
There we go. There's our
I
honest
love
person.
it. I love it. I love it because listen, none of us are perfect. There's so many competing priorities that there's many things that get in the way of us doing what we need to do in order to fulfill our mission or our vision or, share Healy as much as we want to. Listen, think of Healy World's commitment to health, okay? I want you to think about this for a minute. Our product doesn't just work once. They are it's a continuous part of our customer wellness journey, right? We know this. All right. In the same vein, our follow-up must be a constant constant and reinforcing the trust that our customers have in us, or our prospects have in us, or our friends have in us. Okay. So consider maybe the last significant purchase you've had. What kind of follow-up made you feel valued? What did that do for you? The thing I want to remind you of next is this is something, if you attended our 6th, so like halfway through where we are now, we did a webinar and we did it, I think, on prospecting. Don't we can look at the back of the slides and I'll tell you exactly what the name of it was. We can confirm it, but I know it was webinar 6. And we actually gave you a copy of this, and it's called My Prospecting List. And you can use this, you can print it out, you can use it on Adobe and, fill it in if you want to. What I want to tell you is having a simple prospecting list that tracks your connections and plans your next steps will set you up for long-term success. You need to track it though. Listen, we all have good intentions. Yeah, I'll remember to follow up. No, we don't. We don't remember. And we don't remember when's the last time. Listen, there's more than once that I kind of go back, what? That happened 3 months ago? Oh my gosh, it feels like last week. Yeah, exactly. And most of us are like that. So understand that if you record every time you are following up with someone, whether it be a customer or a prospect, someone you're just sharing with, make sure that you are tracking that for your own trust building steps to make sure that those relationships stay intact and make sure that you are interacting with people on a consistent basis. Listen, we talked about obstacles. We talked about boosters. Well, let me tell you something. Follow-up is a business booster. That's what it is. All right. Let me show you some stats. All right. So you can see it on the screen here. 44% of people, when they're trying to share a product, especially network marketing, 44%, if they don't get the sale maybe or the interest, people quit. That's almost half of us quit after we've connected with one person once. I'm going to tell you a story about why we shouldn't do that, okay? 22% quit after the second connection. 14 quit after the third connection. Another 12 quit after the fourth connection. And that means there's only 8% of people left. And out of that 8% of follow-up, they're following up over 5 times, 5 or more. All right. Now, you've probably seen these sales stats before. This is something we talk about when we talk about network marketing and understanding that follow-up is so key to our businesses and our business health. But 80% of all sales are made by this last 8% of people who are following up more than 5 times. Wow, right? So if you're asking yourself these questions, look at this, okay? Is your business consistently growing if you're trying to build a Healy business? Or are you successfully sharing Healy as much as you'd like to be? Are you struggling to rank up, to stay up? Are you wondering why so many people that you talk to them about Healy, why they are not becoming customers? It could be the fact that you're not following up enough. Now, having said that, I do need to really clarify that there's such a thing as following up the right way, and there's such a thing as following up the wrong way. All right. So let me first kind of tell you the benefits when you follow up the right way. Okay. We already identified them earlier, but let's go through them again. I don't want you to walk away from this webinar thinking for a second, why do I need to follow up? I want you to know beyond a shadow of a doubt, okay? It builds relationships and trust. It provides great service. It builds loyalty. It will boost your sales for sure. It's a great avenue for feedback. Listen, feedback is so key. It will tell us the information that we need in order to serve better. It's a way to gather referrals, and it makes you stand out from other people who are trying to do the same thing. Now, there are reasons why people they don't follow up. I already said that. So, well, here's the thing. Sometimes we get too busy, all right? So, especially if we put aside the end of the month just before month end, and we're going to now follow up, and we've got so many other things that we have to do, we try once, and then it kind of gets put to the wayside. We make assumptions left, right, and center. Lots of times I will say, I can't do this right now. I'm sorry. Life is just busy right now. And I can almost guarantee you I'll never hear from that person again. Unfortunately, my truth was my truth. I'm just too busy right now. Did you hear those key words, right now? So I'm going to share a story about Epicure. So some of you, if you're in Canada, you'll probably be familiar. It's another network marketing company. I happen to love all the spices from Epicure. All my friends know it. I buy all my spices through Epicure. I love them. Besides, I support direct sales. So of course I'm going to love all products I can get my hands on. There was just before Christmas, I was going to host a party, and because there were party planned, and I wanted to host a party, and things started to like kind of get really out of control. Stomach flu went through our house, and I literally just said, I'm really sorry. I just need to cancel this. I can't do this right now. And she followed up a couple of times, twice, and then she stopped. And it's because I said, I'm really sorry, but I can't right now. Now I will reach out to her because I've had a long-term relationship, but I can tell you now, just knowing her personality, that she likely won't follow up with me. Maybe because she thought she annoyed me. She was not annoying me at all. I was overwhelmed with life at the moment. And spices seemed really low on my priority list at that moment. But I cook every day. I need my spices. So I'll reach out to her. I know I will. But if I was a new customer and I wasn't already loyal to the brand, then I may decide, I'm going to go to Superstore. I'm going to go to Safeway. I'm going to go to these different places where I can get some spices very quickly. So just understand how important it is, okay? So don't make assumptions. Just because someone says not right now does not mean not ever, all right? Here's another reason that people think they won't follow up in a timely manner is the sale will be there when they're ready. I mean, the salesperson, the network marketer, when they're ready, when the customer is. I'm going to tell you a story in a couple of minutes about how we should not ever assume that, okay? You could be missing out if you are not timely in your follow-up. And of course, the big one, and I think it's probably the biggest one that we all have, is I don't want to bother. I don't want to pester. I do not want to be that salesperson. I don't want to be cringy. So I tend to not follow up as much as I should. Um, but it's really, really important that we become part of the Expert 8. Do you like our little logo there? Are you part of the Expert 8? Are you part of that 8% of people who follow up with potential customers or current customers to ask questions, to see how they're doing, more than checking in, see if things have changed, see if needs have changed, see if there's a way in which we can support them? If you're not part of that Expert 8 yet, um, you now have a clear target on where you need to be. 5 or more. 5 or more follow-ups with all of the people you talk to about Healy. But follow-up does need to be done the right way, and it could have a negative effect on your efforts. Before I go into what some of those things are, and I'm actually going to ask you to put them in the chat in a minute. So I want you to think about follow-up, and I don't want you to think about your own journey. I want you to think about someone who reached out to you, who was following up on, let's say, maybe it's direct sales, maybe it's network marketing. I want you to think about a time when follow-up was done in a way that made you feel poorly about it. Maybe you thought it was cringy, maybe you thought it was pushy, maybe you thought it was pestering you, it was bothering you, it annoyed you. I want you to think about that, and then you're going to put them in the chat in a couple of minutes, okay? But before I do, let me tell you a little story. When we moved to St. Albert, we had just moved in for a new job, and we loved our home, okay? It's the home I'm in right now. It was a big, beautiful home. We had never had this much land in Alberta. We had gone to a smaller city because we were in Calgary, and then we moved to St. Albert, and we had this like big, beautiful yard. But when we moved in, this like 7 years ago, um, it was this lovely 80s, maybe early 90s minty green and forest green and peach. And so it had this, and it was very dated. And I wanted something fresh. So I made a deal with my husband, and I said, okay, I love the newer build over here. You love this one. So here's the deal. If we move into this house, we have to hire painters. It was way too much for me to do on my own. We have to hire painters. So he said, okay, yep, we'll buy this house. It was completely outdated. There was some borders and wallpapers up that I just I wanted to make it mine. I wanted to make it part of who I am. So we looked online for some great painters. We found several. We also took some names down from some of the new neighbors that we had met. And so I started to call to get some quotes. So once I started getting those quotes that I was happy with, I knew it was a busy time of the season. And so we gave the go-ahead to one of these companies. And I was uber excited, and I was very anxious to get this done and over with. We were still moving in, all the boxes were still out. I wanted the painting done while that was happening. I was told on the line, like when I would talk to this person, that they get back to us the following week with some scheduling. The week came and went, didn't hear anything. Thinking that we had forgotten, I placed another call. I spoke to the salesperson, and she apologized profusely. She said, listen, we're just really busy right now. We're going to call. I promise you, next week we'll call. Again, heard nothing. Being persistent and wanting my painting done, I called them the third time. And then it went to voicemail. At this point, I didn't think they wanted the job. I literally found another company who followed up immediately. They were super excited. It was a group of university kids who had started their own painting business. The sale was over $10,000. It was a really big ticket item as far as I'm concerned for painting. And so the company that we ended up with, they went head over heels. They went above and beyond to make us happy with the final outcome. And 5 weeks after the work was complete, we got a call back from the original company. I informed them that because we hadn't heard back from them, I assumed they didn't want the business. And we gave the job to another company. She hung up on me. She was really ticked. She had, but guess who our referrals went to next time? Do you think it was the original company? No. It was these painters, these university students who jumped on it. They were excited to have that business. And so understand that just because you're feeling a certain way, or that you think that they'll be there when you're ready. Well, I'm really busy, I can't do the job right now. Well, there's a risk to that. If you are really busy, understand that there's a possibility that they could go elsewhere. And so just understand that when you are following up, that it is timely, that you explain, that you do what you say you're going to do. These are all really, really important. Now, we did talk a little bit about daily activities throughout our time together. And I just want to show you on the daily activity process. I wanted to show you this. So if you haven't done that, we talked a little bit about priorities in a previous webinar. So I want you to, you can take that out if you want to, it's on your tab. Listen, follow-up is key, and it's key in these key areas. It's not just follow up in the follow-up section. Follow-up is part of networking, it's part of prospecting, and it's part of following up. Okay, so you need to be adding new people to your list. You need to be talking to them. You need to be following up with those people that you're networking with. People who are showing some interest, you need to follow up with those people. You need to see where they're at. You need to regular connect with people that you've already added to your list. And on top of that, you need to stay connected with your current customers. It's a lot of follow-up. I know. Well, it's not over yet. Okay. Here's the other people. If you're serious about your business, the other people you need to follow up, it's also part of supporting your team and onboarding new members to your team. So when you're thinking about your daily activities and you're, putting together your blocking time for things that matter, you need to understand that follow-up is really, really important to networking, to prospecting, to connecting with current customers, to supporting your current team, as well as onboarding new members to your team. I saw some hearts. Thank you for the thumbs up and hearts. All right. So you want to do things that feel good. All right. You want to make sure that when you're connecting with your customers, that you're asking them, you're asking for permission to follow up. Okay. So it's been really good connecting with you. It was really nice to meet you. Would it be okay if I checked in a week's time? Really just creating some expectation, and then agree on a specific time. Okay. Don't just randomly do it. Here's the thing, people are more busy than they've ever been. And how many memes have you seen on TikTok or on Instagram or whatever you plan, wherever you follow? How many times is like, I need to now make appointments to see my kids, I need to make appointments to see my friends, because we're all so busy. So when you're already on the phone with them, you're already in front of them for a cup of coffee, you're already talking to them on a Zoom call or a Teams call, why not say, let's open up our calendars and book some, 15 minutes. 2 o'clock, would that work for you? Or what's the best way to connect? You want to write it down? What gets written down gets done, at least in my world. And I would say most of your worlds too. So I put it in my calendar right away. If it's my calendar, I will be there. So you want to set that expectation. I just sent you an email. I just sent you an invite. I just texted you my information, and track it. So think about what it is that you learned. How can you help? What are the next steps that you want to make? And going back to that prospecting list, what a perfect way to keep it. But listen, any piece of paper will work. You don't need a tab action sheet to do it. We just put it together for ease, okay? And it sometimes putting that in your journal, putting that on your desk can really, really help you stay motivated. You know what? Really great to put on your wall, because guess what? You're going to see it every single day. So if you put that on your wall and you have that list of names, oh, shoot, there's only one connection on that. I need to follow up with that person really quickly. So keep it in clear sight. Set clear expectations for your next follow-up. Listen, they're great questions. Let's connect Monday at 2. I'm going to do everything in my power to get you answers to those questions. Maybe we'll book a call with somebody else who you already know will have the answers to those questions. Make the connection, provide value, and try different ideas. All right. Here's some other things when you're thinking about following up. Okay. I want you to consider that following up is so important, because it does all those things that we talked about: building trust, keeping the connection alive. You want to be respectful. You want to make sure that you are walking the talk with your values. that you're trustworthy, that you're building an honest connection with someone, that you're caring, you're listening more than you talk, you're solutions focused. And when I say solutions focused, I mean their solutions, not yours. Okay. And you're curious. All right. All right. We're going to move into this second piece. Okay. Let's consider this ever-changing landscape of customer needs, okay? Just like the body need their needs for different frequencies, our clients need support and products that evolve, okay? So our task is to be adaptable, responsive, and be as adaptable as our, putting a new program in our Healy devices, all right? But before we jump into how do we meet those needs, I want you to take a moment now and write down some of those examples I asked you. What are some times when people have reached out to you in a way that didn't feel good? They followed up in a way that didn't feel good. What was it about that that made you not feel good? I'll tell you mine. Mine are they make assumptions. The best is always when someone assumes that you need their weight loss product and I'm not trying to lose weight. Now you've insulted me and you're not getting my business. I've gone to a car dealership where they only spoke to my husband. He wasn't the one who was buying the car, I was. They followed up with my husband. He said, "You screwed up, dude. Probably should have called my wife." These are things that are cringy. They're assumptions, right? Okay, so we're not seeing anything on the chat, but by all means, go ahead and put some examples in there of times. Just remember, your follow-up needs to be all of those things that we just showed you on the screen. Let me go back there again, just to remind you. Respectful, values-driven, trustworthy, caring, curious, all those things are so, so important, all right? All right. So how do you figure out what's important to your customers? Well, guess what? We've got an action sheet for you. It's called My Customer Needs Assessment. And this is a really great follow-up tool, okay? And it's a great follow-up tool for brand new people that you're talking to or current customers that you already have, okay? This is a way in which you can gather the information that you need to follow up and follow up in a way that's meaningful to the person that you're speaking with, okay? Now, Jody, I believe we're just confirm with me, we are going to upload these for them, right?
Typically, what happens is where the recordings are placed. So
Yes.
if you look into the chat, there's a link there to where all the YouTube recordings are. And I believe there are links in there. Maybe Eva, if you're on the call, if you could just confirm that in the chat, that would be lovely. And
Awesome.
so you can go back, look at all the previous recordings, see all of the previous action sheets that we have provided as well.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Jody. I appreciate that. So just remember, if you are looking for a way to really connect with people, if you gather some of that really important information, this gives you this valuable information. So not only do you now have your prospecting list, which you might be using to prospect new customers, but also using for follow-up, you can now gather an individual customer needs assessment from each of those people. This will give you the information that you need. Now, you may have your own system. It's all cool. Just find a system that works for you. We want to provide something for you, but at the same time, it's about recording this stuff. And the goal of that is to really create a positive surprise for folks and exceed that expectation. Listen, if we can create some sort of delight, if we can minimize some of the friction, frustration, then that means we're providing value. So listen, I don't know about you, but I love delight. I love to feel good. I love it when someone goes above and beyond and creates this positive emotional reaction in me. When someone just goes out of their way to serve, it's pretty amazing. And it creates feelings of reciprocation from me, which is, by the way, not unusual in most people. When friction comes about, it will slow things down. So if we can find a way to create an easier experience, something that feels good, that doesn't feel high pressure, that I don't now have to follow through with correcting assumptions that person has made, now all of a sudden things will go quickly. And as long as we're having these types of interactions where it's delightful, people are being very pleasant, and they're doing their best to serve, and they're minimizing that friction that I might otherwise have felt, all of a sudden that seems valuable to me. So it's creating that emotional reaction, positive emotional reaction. And this helps them form a perception of you as a salesperson, as a network marketer, as someone who loves healing. And this is a huge part of creating value for people. And so you want to make sure that you're getting people in that place where there's the least amount of friction, that you're providing something that's going to make them happy and feel good. And that's value. So how do you create that? Well, there's many different ways in which we can do that. We can solve a problem. We can be spontaneous with a cute little thank you note. We can go above and beyond. We can answer questions before they're even asked. We can do something that's unexpected. And listen, this doesn't just apply to you sharing healing. This may apply in if you have an everyday job. This may apply in your everyday relationships. What you want to do is create a memorable experience for people, helping people find solutions to some of their problems or issues or frustrations. You know, anything you can do to foster that emotional connection and sense of goodwill will absolutely create a positive impression, and they'll be much more likely to connect with you next time with a little bit more positivity, with a little bit more enthusiasm, and they'll be happy to connect. All right. So here's some things that I thought these two stats were kind of really, really important. If you can do that and make a genuine connection with people, create a journey where people are naturally having this really great customer experience, people will definitely pay more. We know this. In fact, Salesforce tells us 67% of people, and so consumers, so customers, and 74% of businesses say they will pay more for a good experience. Yeah, that's important for us to know when it comes to what are the experiences we're creating for the people that we are connected with. Are we buy something, we forget about them? Or are we following up? Are we connecting? Are we seeing how they're doing? Or is there another way in which we can serve? Listen, and if it's not a good experience, guess what? Most people do. 95% of people will share their bad experiences with someone else. That ain't good for us, folks. That ain't good for us. 95%. If they have a poor experience, they will share it with someone else. Now, 87% of us will also share that if it's a good experience. So what we've got to do is we've got to tip that scale a bit. And we've got to make sure that there's more people that are sharing those good experiences with people. And remember that it builds trust, okay? This is a quick reminder, all right? Building trust through follow-up is like depositing into a bank account. The more consistent deposits we make, the richer we get, okay? So the fortune was in the follow-up, bang on, okay? Love that quote. I loved it. So how do we make these deposits? We make them through four things. The four things that we believe at TAP really do create strong, trusting relationships. Remember what they were? Anyone remember what they were? Virtual chocolate bar for the person who remembers the four TAP things that we look at when we're building trust. Anyone remember the four key components? Any guesses? Or are you just waiting for me to share the answers? Oftentimes I get accused of going too fast, so I am going to give you a minute. What are the four things, the four key components of building trust? I wish I could see if people were writing things down because I can't see. All right, I'm going to give them to you. Only because we only have an hour together. Here's what they are. They are your words. Is what you say true? Are you a good source of information? Do you do what you say you're going to do? Do your actions, are they within your value system? So are you acting within your value system? Are you safe? Do you emotionally respond when you get an answer that you don't like? I'm not interested right now. Thank you, though. Do you get upset? I purchase my products elsewhere. Do you get upset? Do you, what that salesperson did, hang up the phone? Do you have an emotional response to things that weren't what you wanted to hear? On top of that, are you safe with information? So do you share things? Do you gossip? Do you do those things? Because that'll break down trust as well. And the last one is your intentions. If I suspect that all you're trying to do is share Healy so that you can put more money in your pocket, guess what? Not going to go very far. Okay. Following up is doing what we say we're going to do, creating consistency and reliability. Okay. Following up in the right way creates connection, safety, and it lets me know that your intentions are for my betterment, not yours. So follow up is really, really key. And remember, it goes both ways, right? So here they are: credibility, reliability, safety, and intentions. So let's talk for a moment about some of the things that you can do to create value. All right. There's many things that you can do. You can send a thank you card. You can answer specific questions. You can send a coupon for something. You can provide product support. You can send a newsletter. You can invite them to events. There's so many things that you can do to create a good follow-up experience and make sure that it provides value. However, not all options are the right option for all people. Okay. And that's where we come in to the art of inquiry. So this is another action sheet we're giving you. I know we're giving you lots today, aren't we? All right. This one is about asking quality questions. Genuine, well-worded questions help people feel respected, cared for, valued, heard, and connected. These are the values of our modern consumer. If you remember way back when we talked about modern consumers, these are their values. Not all of them, but a good chunk of them. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to ask quality questions so you can gather information. All right. So make sure you download that, take a look at it. Again, you don't need to print this out every single time. This is just giving you some ideas. It's a great action sheet to help you gather the right information. Okay. So how do you know which ones to use? Well, you get to know them. Okay. So you got all these different options, multiple different options of ways in which you can follow up. Here's the thing. You find out about each one of them. I'm going to go through these quickly. Pete's looking for an income. Well, now you're going to invite Pete to an event. You're going to set up a 3-way call with another leader. You're going to provide, Pete with a sample. You're going to lend them your Healy, like whatever it is that you do. You're going to answer Pete's specific questions. You're going to invite him to a call like this, right? So that's Pete. What about Renee? Renee is she just loves Healy. She's not really looking to build a business. So maybe you need to give her some relevant articles. Maybe you might ask her to a product webinar. Maybe you ask them to connect on social media. These are ways in which you connect with Renee. But then there's Celeste, who needs help with a problem. She's dealing with some issues. And now what you're going to do is you're going to provide some solutions through Healy. Pam's looking for community. Now, here's the thing about all those examples. I'm sorry, my dogs are saying hello. Pam is looking for a sense of community. And all of these things, all of these different people that we've brought to you, that's why people join network marketing companies. They join for different reasons. They won't always be because they love the product. I mean, they'll love the product, they'll fall in love with it. But maybe what they're really looking for is that sense of community. Or maybe they're looking to build business. And this is a way in which they can do it in a way that makes them feel really great. People come with different needs. And follow up is the way in which you find out what those are. Okay. All right. So there are some other things. I've given you 4, but we're going to talk about 4 other things really quickly here. There are other things to think about when you're following up. Here they are. The time needs to be right. The frequency needs to be right. I'm going to tell you, nothing worse than someone sending me something to review on a Friday night. Like, and we're talking about someone who's like a salesperson, okay? I've never met this person's cold call. They check in Friday night, Saturday morning, they wonder why I'm not responding to their email that they sent Friday night. Sunday afternoon, they're saying, oh, I'm making an assumption you didn't respond to me, so I'm going to let you go. Well, these are people that are probably using bots. Not a great way to build my trust. Not a great way for me to respond on Monday morning. I saw a laughing face. I'm guaranteeing you we've all been reached out to by people who do this. Some of us might do it too. Stop. Not a great look, okay? Make sure that you find the sweet spot between attention and overwhelm, annoyance and delight, okay? Personalization. You know what the worst is when I get an email where they get my first name, like Dear Shannon, right? But then further down, they've forgotten to change the other name. So now I'm Ashley. Okay. Guess what? I now know that they didn't write that themselves, that they've sent something through a bot, and I no longer feel like it's personalized. And, or, oh, this is a really good one, is they want to offer me training on sales. Really? Because I teach training on sales. Why would I go to your training on sales? Because you haven't looked at my LinkedIn, you haven't done your homework, you don't know who I am, you don't know what I need. Or the worst is when people say, would you like 200 to 500 new clients a month? I'm like, no, I wouldn't want 200 to 500 clients a month. Do you know what that would do to my business? It would destroy me. I could never grow that fast because you don't understand my business. Make sure that it's personalized. Okay. So I know it's a lot of work. Building business is a lot of work. Take it from me. I've built one. I know. Follow-up channels. Match the message with the medium. Okay. And what I mean by that is get to know your people. How do they like to chat? Some people like text. Some people like Facebook direct message. Guess what? I'm not one of them. So many times people have reached out to me on Facebook, and I'm telling you right now, I don't even monitor my own Facebook messages. So I don't get them. I'm a text person. LinkedIn, 100%. So these are the places. So get to know your people, see where they're going to follow up, where your follow up is going to have the most impact. And more than anything, make sure you close the loop. Here's the thing, folks. If you've told someone you're going to get them the answer to a question, and you try to get them the answer, but you can't get it, but then you forget to tell them that you couldn't get the answer. Most people are forgiving. They'll say, oh, okay, well, I'll try to find the information somewhere else. Thank you for getting back to me. But if you don't tell them that you couldn't get the answer, that means that they think that you forgot about it and that I wasn't important to you. Not good. So remember, know your audience. Not everyone appreciates the same things. Keep it positive, keep it professional. If one approach isn't working, try another. We need to be adaptable and flexible. Not everyone will say yes, but many people, more than you think, will appreciate the effort. Only 2% of sales are made on the first connection, 3 on the second, 5 on the third, 10 on the fourth, and 80% are made between the 5th connection and the 12th connection. I know I said it before, I'm saying it again. I don't want you to walk out of here thinking, oh, well, 3 times is enough. It's not. The stats speak for themselves. Don't take it from me. I absolutely love my Healy family. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you found this webinar useful, valuable. Jody is going to put up the survey. You know, this is the way in which we get our feedback. Your feedback is so important. It's anonymous. Please, please, please just take the extra couple of minutes. Give us the feedback so that we continue to provide value to you and your team. I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Shannon. And I've put the link to the survey into the chat. So please take a moment and fill that out. And what I'll do just before everyone logs off and before I stop the recording, I will just as a reminder, let you know where you can find recordings of our previous webinars. And you'll see on the screen our next topic, which is all about your story, igniting influence and inspiring action, taking place on April 15th. And we hope you'll join us for that. And let me see if there's anything else here that I want to make sure that we just tell you about before we stop the recording. I think we've got it. So thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.